You're standing in line. 10 seconds pass. Your hand is already in your pocket. You don't remember deciding to reach for your phone. It just happened. Most people will tell you this is a habit, a distraction, a modern weakness born from too much screen time. But the real answer is far stranger. That tiny twitch in your hand, that almost violent need to fill empty seconds, is not a flaw in you. It's a 5 million-year-old alarm system, and it might be the most misunderstood feeling a human being can have. Psychologists call it boredom. But almost nobody agrees on what it actually is. Is it sadness? Is it laziness? Is it simply having nothing to do? In 2012, a researcher named John Eastwood at York University decided to settle the question properly. He gathered decades of conflicting research and asked a simple thing. What is boredom, biologically speaking? His answer surprised a lot of people. Boredom, he concluded, is not the absence of stimulation. It's the unsatisfied desire to be engaged in something meaningful, paired with a strange difficulty in finding what that something is. In other words, your brain isn't bored because nothing is happening. It's bored because it desperately wants something to happen and can't figure out what. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should. Think about the last time you felt truly bored. Not relaxed, not resting, bored. There's a restlessness to it, an itch behind the eyes, a low hum of discomfort that sitting still somehow makes worse, not better. Why would your brain punish you for doing nothing? To answer that, you have to go back further than smartphones, further than offices, further than agriculture itself. You have to go back to a time when doing nothing could get you killed. Picture an early human somewhere on the East African savanna around 2 million years ago. Resources are scattered, predators are patient, food doesn't come to you. You have to go looking for it, and looking for it is dangerous. So evolution needed a way to push your ancestors out of comfortable, familiar spaces and into the unknown again and again, despite the risk. It needed a feeling so uncomfortable that staying still became worse than moving forward into uncertainty. That feeling was boredom. Think about what the alternative would have looked like. A version of your ancestors that felt content sitting in one spot, with no urge to explore, no itch pulling them toward the next hill or the next stretch of unfamiliar ground. That version would have stayed exactly where they were until the food ran out, the water dried up, or a predator that had been quietly watching the same predictable spot for days finally made its move. Comfort in that environment was a slow kind of danger. Restlessness was the thing that kept you alive long enough to find the next opportunity before the last one ran out completely. This is where the story gets stranger. In 2014, a psychologist named Timothy Wilson at the University of Virginia ran an experiment that became famous almost by accident. He asked participants to sit alone in an empty room for just 15 minutes. No phone, no book, nothing to do but think. Many of them hated it so much that, in a later version of the study, when given the option to push a button and receive a mild electric shock just to break the monotony, a striking number of people chose the shock. Pain over emptiness. Discomfort over stillness. Why would a brain prefer being hurt to being unstimulated? Because to your nervous system, stillness was never neutral. For most of human history, an environment with nothing happening in it wasn't safe. It was suspicious. If nothing was moving, nothing was changing, nothing was offering food or information, that meant resources nearby were likely already used up. Boredom wasn't a punishment for idleness. It was a built-in instruction. Leave. Search. Don't get comfortable here. The discomfort you feel scrolling through silence isn't broken wiring. It's the oldest survival instinct still firing in a world that no longer needs it the same way. It helps to think of boredom less like an emotion and more like a smoke alarm. A smoke alarm doesn't care whether the smoke comes from a house fire or a slightly overcooked dinner. It just goes off the moment conditions match a certain pattern. Because being wrong in one direction costs you a little irritation, and being wrong in the other direction costs you your life. Boredom works the same way. It doesn't actually know whether you're in genuine danger from staying still too long. It just knows that across millions of years, staying still too long was often enough exactly the kind of mistake that got ancestors removed from the gene pool. So it fires early, it fires loudly, and it fires whether you're standing in a dangerous, unfamiliar landscape or simply waiting at a red light. But here's the twist almost nobody talks about. Boredom didn't just push your ancestors to move, it pushed them to create. A researcher named Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire spent years studying what boredom actually does to the brain once you stop trying to escape it. In one of her studies, she gave participants a dull, repetitive task before asking them to come up with creative uses for an everyday object, like a cup. The bored group consistently outperformed the group that had been kept stimulated beforehand. Their ideas were stranger, more original, more numerous. Boredom, it turned out, doesn't just make you uncomfortable enough to seek something new. It makes your mind wander into places focused attention never goes. Daydreaming isn't wasted time. It's your brain quietly auditioning new ideas while you're not paying attention to it doing so. This is likely why so many early human innovations probably didn't come from emergencies. They came from the in-between hours, the walk back from the river with nothing to do but think, the long stretch of evening before the fire burned out. Long, unstructured stretches with nothing demanding immediate attention are exactly the conditions under which a wandering mind starts connecting things that have no obvious reason to be connected. A sharpened stone and a longer handle, a pattern of animal tracks and a season about to change, a sound in the grass and a danger not yet visible. Boredom gave the ancestral brain unstructured time, and unstructured time, it turns out, is where new tools, new stories, and new survival strategies get quietly invented. So if boredom is this ancient, intelligent system designed to protect you and inspire you, why does it feel so unbearable today? Because the world changed faster than your nervous system did. Your alarm system was built for an environment where stimulation was rare and dangerous to ignore. Today, stimulation is infinite and engineered to be impossible to ignore. Every time that old itch fires telling you something is missing, modern life hands you an answer in less than a second, a notification, a video, an endless feed that never runs out and never resolves the underlying signal. You're not curing the boredom. You're muting the alarm without ever finding what it was trying to tell you. Consider what that actually means at scale. Across a single day, the average person checks their phone dozens of times, often without consciously deciding to. Each check is a tiny transaction. The ancient alarm fires, demanding meaningful engagement, and instead of meaning, you hand it stimulation. The alarm quiets for a moment, satisfied just enough to stop screaming, but never actually answered. Multiply that exchange across hours, days, years, and you get a strange modern condition. A life that feels full of input and empty of resolution. Busy on the surface, unsettled underneath. That's the part that should genuinely concern you. The ancient version of boredom always led somewhere. It pushed your ancestors toward new territory, new ideas, new solutions. But an alarm that gets silenced instead of followed doesn't go away. It just keeps firing, quieter and quieter, until you stop noticing it as boredom at all and start calling it something else. Restlessness, anxiety, a vague sense that something is missing even when your life looks, by every external measure, completely full. Some researchers now believe this mismatch between an ancient signal demanding meaningful engagement and a modern world offering only passive consumption may be quietly connected to rising rates of dissatisfaction, especially in environments where stimulation is constant, but depth is rare. Your brain isn't asking for more content. It's asking for the thing content was always meant to be a placeholder for: direction, purpose, something to actually go and do. Here's an experiment worth trying, because Eastwood's later research suggests something almost counterintuitive. Sit with boredom instead of escaping it. Not for hours, just for a few uncomfortable minutes. Don't reach for the phone. Don't fill the silence. Notice the itch, the restlessness, the urge to be anywhere but here. And instead of obeying the part of you that wants to flee it, ask what it's actually pointing toward. What would feel meaningful right now? What idea keeps almost surfacing in the back of your mind, only to get drowned out the second you pick up a screen? People who try this consistently report something unexpected. The discomfort doesn't just fade, it resolves into clarity. Underneath the irritation, there's almost always a specific, nameable thing sitting just out of view. A conversation you've been avoiding, a project you keep starting and abandoning, a version of your day you actually want, instead of the one you've defaulted into. The same mechanism that once pushed your ancestors across the savanna is still capable of pushing you somewhere worth going, if you let it finish its sentence instead of cutting it off every single time. It's worth remembering that none of this makes boredom comfortable. It was never supposed to be comfortable. Comfort was the thing it was designed to interrupt. The mistake isn't feeling the itch. The mistake is assuming the itch is the enemy, when for almost the entirety of human history, It was the opposite. It was the quiet, insistent voice that kept your ancestors moving long enough, searching long enough, and inventing long enough to eventually become you. So the next time that itch hits, in line, in a quiet room, in the 3 seconds before you unlock your phone, you might want to pause. That feeling crawling up the back of your mind isn't laziness, and it isn't weakness. It's a message that has survived 2 million years to reach you, still asking the exact same question it always has. Not, what can distract you? What do you actually want?